Okay, this is the Math CBA 9 review. Please remember that your test is tomorrow and that I always make the review look very similar to the test. However, there are 10 questions on this review, and on the test tomorrow there's only 7. So I did put a few extra just to kind of help you get some practice. So on the test tomorrow, I did print a physical copy. It will be in DMAC, so you do need to make sure that you're using the DMAC code to get in, which I will leave on the board for you Friday. Okay, I do expect, since I printed you hard copies, for you to highlight or circle the shape and what it's asking for. So for number 1, it's talking about a ball, and we know that balls are shaped like spheres, and it says that right there. And then it's asking for the volume. So the first thing you do is you go to your star chart, to volume, find sphere, and write down the formula, 4/3 pi r cubed. So the only thing I need is a radius. I need a radius. So I read, it says you have a bowling ball shaped like a sphere and it has a diameter of 21.6. And anytime they give me diameter, I have to divide by 2. So 21.6 divided by 2 is 10.8. That is my radius. So you need to make sure you're reading carefully if it's providing diameter or radius. And if it's diameter, divide by 2. So I'm doing 4/3 times pi times 10.8 to the 3rd power. And I'm just going to type that in my calculator using alpha y equals. And there's my answer, 5,276. And this is the closest answer. All right, number 2. Again, I'm highlighting a sphere, so that's my shape. And it's asking for the volume. So again, I go to my star chart to volume of a sphere, and I write the formula down. 4/3 pi r cubed. So I need an r, which is radius. So I go to my picture. Remember that diameter goes all the way through and radius goes halfway. Did they give me a radius? No. They gave me a diameter all the way through, so diameter divide by 2. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So now I plug it in. 4/3 times pi times 7.5 to the 3rd power. And I go put that in my calculator. And the answer is 1,767. So the answer is J. Number 3. I'm looking for my clue words. The first thing it tells me is that it's a cone, and the next thing it tells me is that I'm looking for the volume. So I go to my star chart to volume of a cone, and I write the formula, 1/3 pi r squared h. On this formula, I need an r and an h. So I need a radius and a height. The height's the easiest. It's 7.5. And the radius must come from a circle. And your circle is down here, even though you didn't have that little piece I just drew. Remember that diameter goes all the way through. So this is a diameter, so I have to divide it by 2. So I'm going to go to alpha y equals. I'm going to choose option 2, and I'm going to put in 5 and 5/8. And I'm going to divide that by 2. And then I'm just going to go change it to a decimal if I want to. Let's see. It's up to you if you want to leave it as a decimal or a fraction. I'll probably put it as a fraction, 45/16. All right, so I'm going to do 1/3 times pi times my radius, 45/16, squared times my height, which is 7.5. And I'm not worried about fractions because my calculator does all of them. So 1/3 times pi times, and I'm going to use alpha y equals to put that 45 over 16. I'm going to tab out and hit squared times alpha y equals option 2, 7 and 1/2. And the answer is 62.13. Okay, on number 4, you're looking at the shape. So it says a container that holds sugar is shaped like a cylinder, so that's what you're highlighting. And then you're looking for volume or surface area. So you read and it asks for volume. So that's what you should have highlighted. You're going to go to your star chart to volume and find the formula for cylinder, which is pi r squared h. So you need an r and an h. If you read, it literally gives you the radius. So the radius is 3 and the height is 10.5. So now you're just going to plug those in. And simply put them in your calculator. So the answer is 296.88. Number 5. Take your highlighter or circle and highlight the shape, which is a rectangular prism, and what it's asking for, which is total surface area. So you go to your star chart to surface area for prism, and here's your formula for total, and write it down. And then you're going to write the pieces that you need. So you need a P, an H, and a B. The first thing you write down is the height. That's how tall it's standing, and mark it out because you'll never use it again. P stands for perimeter of the base. So here's your base down here. So if this side's 16, this side's 16. If this side's 8, this side's 8. So for perimeter of the base, you're simply going to add all 4 of those sides. And that's 48. Remember that big B means area of the base. So you go to your area part of your star chart and find the base is a rectangle, so length times width, which is 16 times 8, which is 128. And now that I have all of those pieces, I simply plug them in to this formula. So I'll come above it to do it. So 48P times H plus 2 times B. And the answer is 736. And if you needed a decimal, the decimal would go afterwards. Okay, number 6 is talking about a cylinder, and it wants you to find the total surface area. So go to your star chart to surface area and write the total formula down for cylinder. Again, I need an R and an H. They gave me the H, which is 10. But did they give me the radius or diameter? Diameter. So if they give diameter, you must divide by 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then just plug it in. And the answer is 245. Okay, moving on to number 7. Get your highlighter and figure out what shape this is, which is a triangular prism. And it's asking for the lateral surface area. So I go to my star chart, surface area, prism, and lateral, PH. So I need a P and an H. The first thing I told you to identify is the height, and you do that by covering up the triangles. Both triangles have to be covered. The number that's left over is your height, so that's 16.5. Then you're going to mark it out because you will never use it again. If you notice, this triangle is identical to this triangle. So if this side is 10, this side is also 10. P stands for perimeter of the base, so you're simply going to add 10 plus 8 plus 5, which is 23. That's your perimeter. And then you're just going to plug it into P times H. So P times H. Which is 379.5. Okay, number 8. Again, highlight your shape, which is a rectangular prism, and what it's asking for, total surface area. So I go to my star chart, surface area, prism, total, pH plus 2B. I need a P, an H, and a B. The first thing I find is the height, which is how tall it's standing, which is 4.5, and I mark it out because I'll never use it again. P stands for perimeter of the base, so I'm going to add 11 1/4 plus 11 1/4 plus 3.5 plus 3.5. You can absolutely change those to decimals if you want, or you could simply go add those all in, but that's basically 3.5 plus 3.5 plus 11.25 plus 11.25, and that's 29.5. Big B means area of the base, so I go to the area part. It's a rectangle, so length times width. So I'm doing 11 1/4, 11 1/4 times 3.5, which is 39.375. Notice I changed those to decimals, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm doing P times H plus 2 times B. My answer is 211.5. I would highly recommend changing those to decimals, but I don't even think like one's on the test like that. All right, 2 more. This is so I didn't tell you the shape, so you have to know that it's a cylinder and it wants the lateral surface area. So I go to surface area, cylinder, and the lateral formula is 2 pi RH. So I need an R and an H. Remember that the radius has to come from the circle. Here is the circle, so this has to provide me with the radius. They did not. They gave me diameter, so I divide by 2. 2.6 divided by 2 is 1.3. So this number has to be the height, because the height will never come from the circle. So 2 times pi times 1.3 times 4.8. which is 39.2. Okay, last question. This is a confusing question, but it is actually number 1 on your test tomorrow, so make sure you're paying attention. It says you have a hat box that's shaped like a cylinder. So then it tells you the formula to find volume, but it doesn't ask you to find volume. It says, how would you find big B? So you go to your volume formula for cylinder, and that is why I have put in a box that big B is replaced with pi r squared. So you're not using the whole formula, you're only using pi r squared. Again, it asked how you would find big B, not volume. So I need a radius. So this is diameter, so divide by 2, which is 12. So pi times 12 squared. And you didn't have to solve it, you're just looking for which one represents that, which is G. The 12 gets the square. Okay, so at this point, you need to get a Chromebook, log into the Google Classroom, and put your answers into the answer document. Once you submit, this is yours to study. Your CBA is tomorrow, Friday, so you will need to make sure you're ready for the CBA, and make sure you bring your star chart.